Okay, so welcome back. In this next lesson, we're going to be really focusing on personal responsibility. And this is generally the final component of the pre-induction talk. We're going to reinforce within our client to really take control and recognize that they have the power to decide differently moving forward. Now, if you've been to any of the live events that I run, I typically talk about this generally pretty much at every event because it is that essential to getting amazing results in any area of life. And that's recognizing that you have that personal power, that personal responsibility. And at live events, I refer to it as cause and effect. So we're talking about the same thing here. And so we're just really reinforcing personal responsibility within our script at this point in the last part of the pre-induction. And the purpose is really to reinforce that personal responsibility that's going to empower the client even further, recognizing that they do have that personal power within them, that they actually can take action and change the results that they've been getting in life. It also starts to install a mindset of resourcefulness. And so you're starting to shift their mindset, shift their beliefs, shift some of their values, shift some of their filters that they have internally to recognizing, wow, I actually am more resourceful than I've given myself credit for in the past. I actually do have this power within me. And then what that does, that starts to create a foundation for the unconscious changes that are about to take place as you take them through the hypnosis session itself. And so you're really starting to set the scene and starting to increase the likelihood that your client is going to get an amazing result from this hypnosis session. Now, the way we put together the personal responsibility part of the pre-induction is basically made up of three main areas. And the first area we're going to start with is really setting the scene. And if you've been involved in any NLP training or any sort of communication training, you might know this as framing. And so we're going to frame up our client here. And so the example you've got on the screen says this: many people who've been able to overcome their old problem held the belief that at some level in your mind, they had created this problem. Because at some level, all the problems you have are as a result of choices that you've made in the past. And so what we're doing here is we're showing or demonstrating to our client that there is some social proof, that there is some compliance here, or we're reinforcing compliance by mentioning that many other people in the past have been able to overcome their old problems by taking on this belief. And recognizing that they've made a choice. Even if the choice is not to take action, that is still a choice. And we're just showing our client through this little section that other people have been able to overcome a problem using this as a solution. And that's really what we're doing. You'll notice that subtly it changes the reference from many other people to you or your mind and your problems. And so it's a very subtle way of just shifting the attention away from other people and bringing our client into the awareness that actually this is relating to them as well. The next part of it is to tell them why, to mention why this is so important. And so on the screen you have, if you are happy to acknowledge that at some level you did in fact create this problem by the choices that you've made, sometimes even without consciously knowing that you've made choices, then the great thing is that you can easily start the process whereby you can actually create the solution to your problem as well, because you accept that you are in control. And you can now make different choices. And so you're just reinforcing to your client that if you have this belief that you have made choices to create the problem, then it gives you the power to choose differently moving forward. And if you've made choices to create the problem, then surely you can make choices to solve the problem. And then the final part to this is to seek agreement, to seek confirmation from your client that they are willing to accept that level of personal responsibility. And one way of doing that is this: are you happy to agree for the purpose of this session that at some level you created the problem, and therefore at some level you can also create the solution? or something to that effect. And really what you're doing here is you're just looking for them to agree. You're wanting to write a part of the script here that's just looking for the client to agree that yes, they accept personal responsibility. And so what we've done is we've really covered how to instill and install personal responsibility within the client using our script, and more specifically using the last part of the pre-induction. And really the three areas we're looking at is to set the scene, or to frame up our client, to tell them why it's so important, and then finally to seek agreement from them. Now what I'd like you to do is put this knowledge into action. And I'd ask you to just take 15 minutes of your time to write a paragraph setting the scene. Remembering to give social proof, mention that others have done this before and created great results. And then also mentioning that the problems are caused by choices. And that's key to it. The key to mentioning that there's social proof, so that they know that this has happened before them. And also mentioning that problems are caused by the choices is crucial as well, because then when they recognize that problems are caused by choices, they can choose differently and not cause the problems. And then part two is to create a question asking if the client is happy to accept this level of personal responsibility. And when you're done, what I'll ask you to do is make some comments, jump on our Facebook, let us know what you thought of it, be a part of the community, and if you have any questions, please let us know. And then you get to move on to the next lesson where we're going to cover off leverage. So get excited for that.